All right, you guys, welcome to our first action episode of the Outrun Show. We're going to focus on a skill that we want you guys to understand, maybe grow from, talk about some different levels. We're going to come up with some little challenges and applications as to how we train the skill. And today, we're talking about pops.
Poppurtunities.
Poppurtunities. This is not the popping from, who's popping is like, my B-boy pop.
That's what I watched.
So we're kind of loosely defining that here in the context of like your ability to use your foot to send your hips up and gather momentum into a movement. So we might use that as like pop monkey plant or Kong up, whatever we're calling it these days.
And when I come up to a wall like that, I'm almost always been like, all right, well, I'm not going that way. Which way back am I going?
I like pop vaults. I don't use them very often. I think they're really great for like kids or for adults. Like teenagers tend not to, but it helps like break students out of that mindset of like, if something's too tall for me to jump my hips up to it, I can't vault it, right? Where we're looking at 4 or 5 feet, the adults start being like, well, I can't jump that high, so it's not something I can vault, right? But really, the mechanics of vaulting back, if that were a wall, and this are very similar.
I mean, we've seen it where the very first interaction with the wall they have is straight vertical, and they're trying to wall run up it, right? And they're like, okay, well, let's go full speed up the wall. The faster I go, the higher I wall run.
But for the most part, it's a safer progression that teaches them, like, you got to put your foot on the wall, and it's got to be in the right spot. Otherwise, you get the splat. And because you can teach pop vaults at a much slower speed, it's very hard to teach a wall run at a low speed.
One of the drills I like early on is just pop off the wall, which is really step off the wall. So there's pop off the wall and don't fall onto your heels.
Yeah.
Right? So the ability to hit this and then come into like a squat balance position and not be back on the heels and not be stepping back and running into that.
It feels very much like a handshake to me. It's like you could be the person that like the businessman who comes in and shakes really hard and crushes the hand of the other person.
Two main types of people that are learning like the pop vault. You get ones that are like, and they like pet the wall and you're like, it's okay, you're not gonna hurt it. You can, and then you get the just like they gotta like Bruce Lee.
Shake it. Yeah.
So like that's what we get is you'll get people and they're learning their pop vault and they think that just because I put my foot here, suddenly
there's friction.
The vault is easier. Yeah. And then from here, this is the slow speed one, and then from here all they do is lean forward and the foot slides and their hip doesn't change any position. Whereas the entire point of it is to get into this position, right? Where my hips have gone up. If you've got your foot in the right spot, here is a significantly different position than where they typically are.
This is actually a very strong position. Notice how we got the like coil of the spring in the arms. Like this is strong. And look at these he got these dimples. I don't know where he got them. He got 3 of them now. When I met him, he only had 1, and now he's got 3. So I'm pissed about that. But up here we have no. There's no. That guy. Can you get him all the way out? You got to look. There you go. Yeah. I can get a really bad gargoyle.
This is actually really hard to do.
Right. So people will come up like this. They'll be locked. Or their elbows are locked out. They'll lock the elbow out, and then the gargoyle will come in. And then,
that's true. You do see that a lot.
And then you got the gargoyle. And now he has no way to sort of like bring his hips up, and he spent everything down into the box. This is the like, right? So that one ends up looking like this, and I'll see if I can even drop into gargoyle there and jack my neck up at the same time.
It looks like an alien's gonna come out of your back.
It can happen. Dude, what's the next thing to complain about?
Oh,
wrist pain.
Yeah.
So I like to use the analogy of the ocean crashing against the Irish Isles, right? So the energy from the hips come up, and I step, and that puts me in this position.
This belief that I think is kind of inherent before we start doing parkour and learning about it, and that is like, this vault is lower than me, therefore I should be coming down to it, right? But when you watch people do like Kong vaults, like Kong Prees, right? They're typically at this height, which is even or maybe a little bit above like center of gravity. But for the most part, you almost always see them come into this and they dip down and then they shoot up. And the same thing has to happen with the pop vault, except instead of you jumping, you're using your foot on the wall to give your hips that same lift.
You get this nice little elasticity that gives you this that technique, where the hamstring is a little bit flexible, or flexed. Should be flexible too, but flexed, and then that allows you to rebound and send the hips up like that.
The foot on the wall and the heel back, right?
The
It's
timing.
This
Yes.
mechanic here, that's also very difficult for new students to get. One, because they lack this position, right?
Yes.
So, coaches that are watching, if you have athletes that struggle with vaults, just doing this as a part of your work sets will absolutely improve their ability to do the vaults, because that's just the position for almost every vault. Two, yeah, they might be so inflexible or so anterior dominant that this mechanic here
Makes no sense.
is difficult for them, right? And if they're not actively pulling here with the hip flexors and the quad to try and keep pressure against the wall,
Yep.
they just do this where they.
So I do really like this here as the first sentence you learn in Spanish. It's like, you know, habla español. It's like, can you speak wall language? Can you hit it? And can you get away from it?
Again, Bruce Lee says boards don't hit back, but
They kinda
he's not doing parkour.
Yeah.
Cool, you want to break out and do some challenges?
Yeah.
And so we're gonna bust out some little lines and see how we would train them, how we'd use them a little bit. That was the dream, is we all gonna do and I have my headband on. All right, everybody's anxiously awaiting our ad hoc lines here. So you guys, what I want to show you guys over here is incorporating a little bit of what Justin said, and then some of the tighter. I'm gonna try and use my hips a little more, and what tends to force me to have to use my hips a little bit more, and that kick, is being closer to stuff.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I see.
Ugh!
One step here, huh?
I do one step, and I use the same leg.
Okay. Yeah, whenever I do slant, especially this one's angled, this one's got like a pretty heavy angle. I think it's like 75 degrees,
Yeah.
or maybe it's 60, I can't remember. But yeah, most of the walls hover between
71.
like 75 and like 80. To go further, like a 60. I think I have a 60 in here somewhere. But whenever we have the angles and I'm going up like above like my shoulders, which is about as high as I would go here, I do 2 steps. So
So I started doing, watching on my periphery.
I see.
Right, and so I go.
Yeah, it's
And
a good
that's-
gallop, reverse gallop.
It's
almost.
like a reverse gallop.
Yep.
And here, then my puts me here. 1, 2, and now I'm here. Boom.
Yeah.
And then go back out there. That's
Yeah,
what I
doing
see.
pops when you have no forward is pretty tough. I have it over there too, so I'll show. Oh, there's one pop.
Oh yeah.
2 pops. Nice.
Woo!
And that's probably my
Yeah.
favorite use for the pop vault.
It's good.
I love direction changes, but they're like going backwards. But I'm not quite as creative as Justin. But I love using the pop vault to get height. And especially when that enables you to do higher lines. Like traditionally, you would just stride these lines up here, right?
Yeah.
Or traditionally, you would jump here and you get a cast position, and then you boom, right, to get the big swing. But the pop vault helps a ton in that you can get that height that you need to go right into the swing without having to pop to here and then go for a cast and take that time.
Yeah.
So I wanted to demonstrate one on that one, just like how you could use a pop vault to get you higher on something for like plyos and connecting moves. And then also that pop vault doesn't always have to be on a wall.
Mm-hmm.
It can be on a bar if you're really like, you know, really focused and really
what did you
dedicated.
do? Might be on the bar. There you go.
There it is. Oh!
Yeah, I'm so bad at right foot though.
And right foot on the pop. Oh, swing. Oh, right turn. Right
So
foot.
yeah,
this
so
right
that-
foot here.
So that's yeah, and this is actually a nice setup for working on like drilling that bar pop, because you can just bias going right into the corner, right?
True.
Yeah.
So if you do miss the bar and you go like that, right, and you're worried about that, fortunately, if it's always like, if you're doing these ones,
You have
you
the
always
other
want to
side.
bias outside.
Yeah.
Boom, so you take it to the hip and then you're like, ah.
Oh.
But obviously, this is worse.
No.
Yeah.
Right? So this setup's nice because you can always go in here and there's no risk of your foot sliding out to the outside.
Are you trying, like when you do them or in your planting, like my intuition would be to do like almost polecat variation where like I'm trying to mimic like my standing position for like climbing on the rail like that.
Yeah.
Or are you saying come
I
to
was-
the outside here so you can get that extra nice push off the
No, I
set
was
the
going
swing.
here because I want, because
Okay.
my swing direction's this way. I want my hips to hang out around this back.
And
I
then
want
when-
them to come out this way so I can pull the swing in that. So I go here. And then I grab
the off angle
in
hand,
with my
yeah.
hand
Yeah.
to give me that
There,
angle
to
swing.
give you the-
Ooh.
so Steezy, delicious.
Yeah.
We'll work on that
Yeah,
one.
there's something good. I love laches when they have the contrast of going backwards and then like immediately getting this really big swing.
Yeah.
Daryl does that a lot. It looks so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, Jesse's got beautiful swings,
Yeah.
I would say.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Artisan swings.
Artisan. Not artesian. Didn't come from a well.
They flow like the artesian waters of
All right, Justin, show's yours.
Yeah.
Lake Minnetonka. All right, Justin, what you got? I'm
All
expecting
right.
some flavor.
You boys by the water
Oh,
fountain.
by the water fountain? Okay.
That's
I have a wee bit of flavor.
probably best.
Cash me back. How about that?
Cash me outside.
Get the... Ooh, roll. Oh.
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 All right. Okay, so I had two. What do we call? Oh, Poppurtunities.
Opportunities.
So I really like it when you're either going like just slightly off, but you're changing elevation in pops, or if you have it over there where you're going over something, like over a rail. I was introduced to those. Oh man, maybe 2013. We
Yeah.
started experimenting with the castbacks over something. So, but this one has been my favorite because it feels a little more approachable because you're going to the side as opposed to like passing over a wall like backwards like this here. So over the side here, and I had to fight the urge not to do like cast back here, another one here.
Oh.
The V-twist.
Okay, that would have been pretty cool though.
Yeah.
And I had the same problem that Travis did. Like I'm in this tight little spot. It's really tough to put like any bounce back on that foot. He wants to slide. So
And you got that heel behind you too with the bar.
yep. Yeah, you can't do that right there,
Right.
right? Yeah. So what I found, you have to go really high on this foot to get that bounce off. So it's like up there.
Ooh.
That gives you the angle to like bounce over the rail. So
And again, no gargoyle on that.
no gargoyle.
None of that.
Oh
like,
yeah.
If you try and gargoyle from here,
it, Colin?
you've lost.
I think so.
Yeah, you're not gonna get your hips up.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
This is like, I feel like this is how like 11-year-old boys
Flex. Isn't this how what's his face from Transformers?
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia
Oh,
LaBeouf?
yeah.
That's the Shia LaBeouf flex.
Just do it.
Hollywood and minor games.
Hopefully he's not doing that.
Those are good, guys.
Yeah, those are awesome. Those nice and
Yeah.
spicy. And I like that, you know, I think out of all three of us, I think I actually had the most traditional
Yeah.
use of a pop vault.
Yeah.
right? Which was to get up on something to then do a vault. So
Yeah, I actually forgot about the Lachey as a pop precursor. It's super cool that way.
yeah. And it's nice if you have the run up because it looks super cool to do the pop up rather than jumping to the bar and muscle up cast, right? Or doing the like kickstart stuff like that. Like that just takes so much time because it feels like it's more realistic, right? Like if you were gonna go and do a line, you wouldn't hop to the bar and be like, hold up,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my thing, and then swing, right?
Yeah.
Like you would try and find a way to get you up there so that you can swing to the next thing. So
Yeah, it definitely takes like that sort of like they have in gymnastics or like golf where it's like the moment where you step up and he's like, okay, he's hitting par on his last round and he's like setting up and there he goes and there's that kind of thing. It's just like you're right into the action. It looks more dynamic because you're coming right from that boom, he's gonna go and you don't know what's gonna happen just yet. The bar is very telling. If you're already on the bar, you're probably not gonna pop up and let go and then keep going. Right?
They already have a guess. The audience already has a guess of where you might be going, right, or what you're gonna do. It sometimes can be very well telegraphed. So having something.
So have you ever used that in any of the speed comps?
No, you don't do lashes in speed comps.
Yeah.
Actually, there is one scenario where we did, and it was really more of like a toe shoot. At the Origins Pro, they have the high bar, so the foam pit's here, and they have a high bar that runs across the top, and then they have a little ledge that runs there.
Yeah.
And the comp had us go around that, and they had some climbing holds, but most people would go. They'd use the post, so the post is like here, and the bar is there, foam pit there, and so we would pop off here to grab the bar to whip around the post and go back.
Yeah.
The comp.
So I was
that's
just
one time I
swinging,
used
probably
it, but
not.
if you have the option to not use a lache in a speed comp, you would always choose it.
But in skill.
Well, in skill, lache is massive. It's super popular. You'll see it every year.
Yeah,
Right?
pop is pretty dead angle, like right at 90, right? And so that's the specific angle that I feel like you can. That is super hard on your ankle and on your Achilles.
Yeah.
Tacks are because you got that 45 entrance, the 45-degree entrance and exit. So it's really the 90-degree that you guys be careful with.
Yeah, that's why I still think pop's still a nice free games exercise. Because if you're familiar with that mechanic, as soon as you're asked to change your direction and your foot placement, you're already used to kind of like the approach is going to be is going to help you. You can't going down into tacks, going down into using your foot on something. It's generally not the best thing. So yeah. All right, guys. Anything else you want to cover?
No, that was fun.
All right. Hope you guys had a good time too. So you guys can watch the session on YouTube, and you guys can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube as well. Next week we're going to be doing the audio version, and we're going to debrief from this and hear about the latest news. So we're super excited you joined with us today. If you guys enjoyed us, give us the feedback. We'll take an emoji. I'll take a lightning emoji. Give me anything. You don't have to write a novel. Show some love.
If you got a Cybertruck emoji, we like that.
We have a
Take a
Cybertruck.
Cybertruck emoji. We have it in the Slack channel, but I don't know if YouTube supports it.
Well, that'll be the next emoji that we have to submit to the world. It's the Cybertruck.
Cybertruck.
All right, you guys. Thanks.